One thing about presenting learning strategies to groups of students, one thing that makes it very challenging is that many times students really don't think they need the information. Even students who may have failed a test think that, oh, I know how to fix this. I only studied the night before for this test, so I'll start studying 2 nights before the next test, and I'll do twice as well. If I made a 40 on this test, I'll make an 80 on the next test. And so they really don't think they need the information, and they are afraid that this presentation is just going to be a talking head telling them what they need to do, and it will be very boring. And unfortunately, some of them actually may have attended a study skills session in the past that did exactly that. And so because some students may already come with a negative view of what they're going to hear, when we present a session on metacognitive strategies, it has to be more of an interactive discussion with students and not just a lecture. And so when we present it in a way that's exciting, that engages students, that makes them reflect on their past behaviors, that gives them information that they didn't have, that they would never think of, then they become excited about the information. And so there are several key components to doing a presentation with these factors, and we're going to briefly discuss some of these ones that are presented in the book. One of the strategies that allows us to produce a presentation that will be exciting and engaging to students is to use a template. Using templates can be very, very helpful. Now, if you've never made this type of presentation before, it may appear that you just don't have the content. And so having a template from a presentation that has been used very successfully in the past is a very good starting point. And so that's why in the book I've included templates, one for a course that is very specific, psychology course, chemistry course. The one that I have is a chemistry course. And then there is an example of a presentation that was done for a general audience. And then there's a blank template where you can fill in the information from your course. And you can certainly feel free to modify the template. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as is in the book, but starting from that is sometimes very helpful. Now, also getting the students' attention by providing them examples of dramatic and immediate improvement of other students is also a great attention grabber. When students look at those before and after scores, then they see that, this information that I'm about to receive really is going to have a very good impact. And then the third thing is to make sure that you're giving them very specific challenges, very specific information about things they need to change, very specific information. And one of the things that I typically do when I end a session with students is I'll issue a challenge. The challenge might be to the class that I want the average on their next exam to be higher than anything that I thought it might be. And I will give them examples of classes in the past who have met their challenge. And very often I will say, I'll give bonus points. If the class meets this challenge, then everyone will get 10 bonus points at the end of the term, or 2 bonus points on the next test. And so I find that that's very motivational for students to really try out the strategies, because then they know that there's going to be a tangible reward if they apply them and they're successful. One instructor who made a presentation on metacognitive learning strategies to his chemistry class had great results. And he was so excited, he shared with me what he did, and he sent me an email, and the subject line in the email just said, "drum roll." And so I knew it was going to be something very exciting. And he wrote, "Hi Saundra, I've done the number crunching on exam 2, first one after my metacognition presentation. Full disclosure, this exam is, in my opinion, a bit easier than the one I gave last year and the year before. Nevertheless, my exam 2 averages before curving were 54 and 59 in 2014 and 2016, respectively. The average for this exam 2 was 69, exclamation point. The average is almost the same as for exam 1, which I would have told you is impossible a year ago. It was very common for me to see students improving by 20 or even 30 points this time. In particular, I had a young woman who was on the cross-country team here at LSU who got a 74.5 on exam 1. She was in my office sobbing 3 weeks ago because it was the lowest score she'd ever obtained. Her score this time around was 87.5. Consider me a convert. He's now one of the most enthusiastic proponents of metacognition on campus. Now I want to take a little bit of time to talk about presenting these strategies to students who are unprepared. And that's really important because we need to approach them in a slightly different way. Many times students who are unprepared think that it's their under-preparation that's going to prevent them from doing well. In fact, I've had many students come to my chemistry class saying, oh, my chemistry course in high school was awful. I know I'm not going to do well here because I don't have a good background in chemistry. But what I assure them is your background really doesn't matter. So for students who come unprepared, we've got to really emphasize the fact that their under preparation is not going to undermine their performance in college. And I share with them that I know students who've come to college and had a 2.3 GPA in high school, but they graduated from college with a 4.0 average. I also know students who came to college with a 4.3 GPA in high school and they flunked out the first semester. And so it's very important for us to let those students know that it starts now. Their under preparation is not going to have a negative impact. If they use the strategies that we're sharing with them, they will be as successful as any other student.